After months of developing our horror fishing game, we stumbled into a massive problem. It wasn't scary at all. Even though we had this buff green fella, this skinny lad, and even these spooky bats. It started to dawn on us. We had no idea how to even make something scary in the first place. Sure, we could add some jump scares to get a cheap scare. We can add big buff monsters and scary, skinny, wiry, creepy fellas. But at the end of the day, creating horror is so much more than that. So if making something scary isn't just creating spooky models and cheap scares, what is it? Achieving peak horror is done by maintaining this delicate balance.
Perfectly balanced.
The fine line between tension and release. It's very similar to edging now that I think about it. You keep the player right at the brink, heart pounding, senses sharp, and then bust. Release. To keep the tension building, it is important that the players do not feel safe or secure. But if the scariness is too overwhelming and the tension builds too high, then the players might experience fatigue and the whole thing will just fall apart. One of the main goals is just to try to get the players to feel a bit off, like someone is watching them. But who? Why are they watching? Are they dangerous? Whatever the player imagines in their head will almost always be the scariest thing to that individual player. Real horror isn't in what you see clearly, it's what your imagination conjures up in the dark. The less you see, the more you fear. Your brain becomes your own worst enemy. The element of immersion is a key part of building that feeling of something just isn't quite right. That eerie sense that tickles the back of your mind. The reason why I think our horror game fails to be horror is because we fail to build tension. Now that we know, how do we actually increase the immersion and tension in our game overall? Right off the bat, we started thinking of ways to get the player to feel like they are actually in the game. See, right now, the player plays and they feel like they're sitting in a chair looking at a screen. We want players to forget their own homes. They feel trapped inside an old, creaky cabin in the dead of night, surrounded by nothing but dark water, eerie silence, and the unsettling feeling that they are not alone. We want them to feel like they have gone fishing. So how did we approach increasing the immersion in Gone Fishing? Well, the first thought we had was sound design. We had a basic night ambience sound that sounded kind of jarring. As well as basic sound effects. This desperately needed an overhaul. We ended up removing the jarring night ambience and added a complex footstep system, which was crucial to having players feel immersed. If a player is walking around in the cabin, they should not hear the crunching of thick grass. Each step should creak as you step on the floorboards beneath you. In the background, an old 1950s radio crackles softly, interrupted only by the odd sound outside that may suggest you are not as alone as you may have previously thought. All of these changes led the whole cabin setting to be vastly more immersive than it was before. With a basic level of sound design added, it then made sense to make some alterations to the creatures we had in the game. Our main focus was to redesign the creatures with presence, not just function. Take the peeker for example, a shadowy silhouette watching silently from the tree line, just visible enough to make you doubt your own eyes before silently slipping back into the darkness. The idea for the peeker is to give players minimal glimpses of creatures and make them question if they really are seeing what they're seeing at all. The next task was to improve the crawler AI, which is the creature that will sneak up behind players and give them a little spook. To improve it, we gave it a breathing sound effect and added subtle branch snaps when the crawler is directly behind a player. The idea is to have the creature breathing down your neck if you get too lost in the fishing without turning around. After putting these couple of creatures together, it really started to remove that feeling of safety that the game had before. But we hadn't forgotten that it is still a fishing game, and horror fishing needed a special twist that would blend both elements. We wanted the bait itself to be something unsettling. So we thought, what if the bait was just wrong. Imagine hooking squirming bats, twitching frogs, or wriggling cockroaches. Just animating these felt wrong and disturbing. I had to justify the moral wrongness of hooking these types of things by reminding myself that we were making a horror game here. And that disturbing feeling is exactly what we wanted to instill in the players. The hope is that with these new changes, we can build that tension up and make the players forget that they are in the comfort of their own home when they press that play button. In the end, I think we did a pretty good job at improving the horror elements in Gone Fishing. I oftentimes find myself getting a little scared while trying to test new features, even though I made a lot of the scary stuff myself. And that about wraps it up. If you've liked anything you've seen so far, wish us Gone Fishing on Steam. Unless, of course, you're too scared.